So let's just start with the basics. I'd love
Mhm.
to know your name and what you do and where you're based. And let's just start with the most basic of basic. Who are you?
Yes, well, I'm Chef Mark Shoemaker. I'm here in Napa Valley, St. Helena. I'm executive chef of Violetto Restaurant and Alila Resort.
That's so exciting. And I know
Yeah.
you haven't spent your whole career in the Napa Valley. Where did you join the Napa Valley from?
So I recently just moved here. Been here about 6 months now. And I moved from Chicago, which I was there for about 4 years. I am from Chicago, but I
Yeah.
lived in Washington State for 4 years.
And Chicago is such a great food city, and Washington State, of course, has an amazing food scene as well. So it's
100%.
we're lucky to have
100%.
you in the
Oh
Napa
yeah. Oh
Valley.
yeah.
St. Helena is such a hub within the community
Love
too.
it.
Like there's, it's just such a great place. So,
Definition of quaint.
yeah. Well, yes, I think you actually have a wraparound porch at the Alila. So, yes,
Yeah. Hmm.
quaint is a good description. I think that's something that you see a lot. Like whenever I visit Massachusetts, I'm always like, there's another
Right.
wraparound porch.
Right.
And my kids are
Yeah.
like, what's a wraparound porch? Because they're
Hmm.
California kids.
It
So
makes you want to stay a while too. Like, that wraparound porch is yeah, I could spend all day out there. So, and the views, it's amazing.
it's peaceful, it's beautiful. The food is amazing. Having
Yeah.
visited and experienced your eight-course tasting menu, I can say that
Hmm.
with all honesty that there's not a note out of sync. So,
Thank you.
what I would like to do today with our conversation is I wanted to dig in. So, when I was there a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago,
Hmm.
you had me try one of your new dishes, um, which I don't think I even know I knew the name. You'll have to tell me the name. But then you compared it on the menu with this vintage carnaroli risotto, and I really just wanted to walk through the two dishes and sort of dig into the specifics of each and what makes each dish so exceptional. So, for those who don't know risotto, I don't know, do you want to just give like the basic primer on what risotto is and what makes it special in the first place? Like, why has it endured over time in the Italian culinary canon?
I think it's just one of those, classic dishes. I know for myself, it means so much to me. My father was the youngest of 10, so my grandma used to make huge batches of risotto for the big family gatherings with saffron. So I just had that distinct smell and, taste growing up of like the sweating of the onions and like the toasting of the rice. Like that's just so impactful to like my development as a chef and, just the nostalgic bringing a family. So that's what it means to me. And, as a chef, it's just such a vessel to carry flavor and texture, and you can really just do so much with it. So the two that I had you try about a month ago was the forage mushroom and the vintage with Parmesan, Savion, and truffle.
Yeah.
So
So let's dig
this,
in. Let's
yeah,
let's just do one at a time. So otherwise it
yeah.
gets a little bit too muddled. So rice has this long history in Italy, obviously. I don't know. Do you think of yourself as an Italian chef? I think of you more as like a modern chef, like interpreting flavor through whatever um, history is needed.
I wouldn't define myself as an Italian chef. I
Yeah.
definitely like have an Italian heritage in my blood, but like I've lived on farms. I've done a lot of farming and just agriculture. I lived on a goat farm making cheese. So I really just ingredient focused, and I would consider myself modern with not a major molecular
Yeah.
program or anything. I try to be pretty modest with the techniques and, let the ingredients be humble and do justice to the dishes.
Yeah, and speak for themselves, which is, people call that California cuisine, I guess, and you are in
Yeah, yeah,
California, so that works
definitely.
out.
Exactly. A reason to move out here too.
Yeah. So let's dig in on the vintage Carnaroli risotto. So Can you start a little bit like where the dish came from for you and what ingredients are featured? Let's start there.
So it's just a classic. I mean, just like the textures of the ceviche, it's like light and fluffy. And the cannelloni rice, just the starch contents, it really takes in all the flavors from the stock and the wine, and has that natural velvety creaminess when cooked. So we take that and just add some beautiful, right now we're using Australian truffle, and I think just the aroma once the truffles hit the hot rice, it really just impacts the senses. So really fun, and really just not, I wouldn't say basic, but like there's not a lot of fuss. We use this spuma for the lightness, and the creaminess with the risotto really complements each other.
So, if you are not familiar with what sabayan is or what espuma is, can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about what that is and like how it's prepared?
Yeah, so we do use an ISI can with it, kind of like tricks of the trade. So we make a Parmesan base with cream and onion soubise, and add cream, and then we put it into an ISI can, heat it up, and it aerates that thick, creamy dairy sauce, and gives it a lightness and texture. So it's really fun. And you know, cream sauces can be very heavy, and it
Mhm.
really tones down the heaviness.
So, if I know nothing about food and I'm like,
Hmm.
what's an ISI can?
Oh yeah.
My head just like went to like Ready Whip and
Yes,
like
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So we have, we have our own like ready whip cans that we can put whatever liquid form that we want inside of
Hmm.
it. So that's the vessel that we use, and we use eco-friendly chargers, CO2
Hmm.
chargers. So
Hmm.
when we recycle them, so they cost a little bit extra, like
Hmm.
significantly extra. But that's kind of our focus here at Violetto as well, to like keep our base, like, no, we have to be sustainable in the practices that we do.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more, please, about the Carnaroli rice. Is it an Italian varietal?
Yeah, so it's in that Lombardy, Piedmont region, Emilia as well. Um, I believe it was developed in the 1940s. I read up a little bit about it, and it's kind of the mecca of rice. It's medium grain, and it has a pectin in it, with starch, that
Mm.
helps release the starch slower, and absorb all the flavor and liquid that you're cooking it in, and it just grabs onto all of that flavor. So it just really a supreme like product. You know, a Brorio, it's great, like nothing against it or anything, but like it's just like a different class for
Yeah,
sure.
and it makes the dish. And
Yes.
when you start the dish, when you're starting to toast the rice, do you do that with butter or do you do it with olive oil?
I do prefer olive oil. I like to my base rice, I do like to make vegan, just in case I need to accommodate any dietary restrictions. So, if I'm making it at my house, I definitely load in the butter. But for the restaurant, like if I need to make something for any dietary restrictions, I make it a vegan base. Then during the pickup and when we're making it to order, we do put butter so it does absorb during the plating phase. Yeah.
All right, so it's got layers of cream and butter
Hmm.
in it, which make it a really rich dish. There's no truffle in that one, right? Or no, you said Australian truffle.
Yeah, so we do, well, whatever truffle we can get at the time. The Australian ones are what our suppliers given us right now. But
Mhm.
we get various forms. We get from Oregon and Washington, and we're always sourcing. So my sous chef is just amazing at sourcing product. So right now, I guess the Australian is working for us.
Awesome. Um, is there anything else that we need to know about the vintage risotto dish to distinguish it from what we're going to talk about next?
It's a classic. It's modest. It's gonna be a good base, and for the next risotto, I feel like it kind of takes it up with the flavor profile. So if you're not that adventurous, I feel like this is maybe not a safe pick, but you're really gonna enjoy it and indulge in something like luxurious and just amazing. But the forged mushroom, we have a little bit of enhanced mushroom tones to it. So
Understood. Well, that seems like a good transition to the foraged mushroom dish. So, is that how
mhm.
the name appears on the menu? Is it called foraged mushroom risotto on the menu?
uh yes. Along those lines, I can't say word for word. But it's basically yes, a forged porcini, forged mushroom risotto on the menu.
All right, and the way this dish was presented, it had this very unique. Um, I don't know exactly how to describe it to the listener. It was sort of like lily pads on a pond.
Yeah.
Um, there were these round discs of what appeared to be pressed shiitake over the risotto, which was sort of flattened more into a like a soup presentation, I guess.
hmm
I don't know what you would call it as a chef, but it really appeared so different um, from the vintage risotto. And I was wondering if you could just start by how you ideated the dish, and just go into how it's different or the same from the vintage preparation.
So this risotto, really excited about it. It really ignited after I served you that night. We've really come to perfect it. We can start off with the disc. It is a really fun process. Um, Really cool, and I've been working on it a lot, and I feel like I've locked it in, where I can teach the other cooks to do it instead of having just me do it, um, which is so important. But basically, I take porcinis, I cook it in wine, I reduce and make a puree. I set the puree aside, and we'll add it into the risotto later. So I take a porcini puree, then I add agar agar to it, which
Mhm.
is a derived from seaweed, and
So it's
it's a
like a
nat
it's like a
it's
vegan gelatin, right?
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a natural thickener used in a lot of vegan food and like gelling agents. I love that it's seaweed as well. It comes from like a red and green seaweed. So add that, stir it, let it set, and you have to let it set on a like a I tell the cook the flattest sheet tray you can find on a silpat, and you spread it thin. Then I put ring molds and I make these little circles. And the whole intention behind it is to look like caps of the porcini. So it's to mimic the caps of the porcini, and it has all
Oh,
that the impact of the porcini flavor.
yep.
So when you bite into it with the risotto, you're getting just kind of like a huge punch of the porcini flavor. And with that, we have adorned the risotto with a juniper gel as well. So I cook apples and steep them with juniper, and then I use agar as well to make a gel, and I put dots of that. So that's to kind of just when I lived in Washington State on my days off, especially in the winter time, I would forge a lot. So I spend a lot of times in the wood, and just that natural aroma of juniper. and looking for mushrooms and just like being around moss. It's really just a capturing that moment of my time in the woods, just relaxing and getting away from the kitchen and just like being myself. And, you could catch me if there's a bed of moss, I would take a nap, just lay there in moss. There's nothing better. I feel like there's no better way to reset than just taking a nap in moss with
Yeah.
mushrooms around. It's the best. So
Sounds beautiful.
this is like the story of this dish, and it really has ignited. We have beautiful chanterelles right now, so we've been adding chanterelles on top, sautéed with more porcini. So it's just like forest floor, the texture of the rice. I really love this dish. It's really incredible.
So pretty soon you're going to start putting a little gnome house and have a little gnome coming out of the gnome house on the side of the dish.
Might as well. We'll put the little cap on the server and they can
Yeah.
take it out.
I wanted to go back just a bit to when
Hmm.
you were talking about the puree and laying it out on the silpat. So
Yeah.
the agar agar becomes like a thin sheet, almost like a clear sheet of gelatin, even though there's no animal products involved. It has that same
Hmm.
gelatin-like quality.
Yeah.
So you spread that first onto the silpat.
No, it comes in powder form. So I mix it in with the puree. I do like a 0.1% ratio to the porcini puree, and it just powder mixed into puree, and it dissolves. It has to reach a certain temperature. So once it's like um, simmering, I let it simmer for like a minute, and that's like my go-to that it's ignited and ready to go. So it is just powder mixed in with that. But there is the science of if you add too much, then it's gonna be like rock hard. And people use it for like pâte à fouille, for like jellies. So like if you do put too much, it's gonna be yeah, really. So finding the balance of the perfect texture for the little tuile because the tuile is very thin.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
thin and it has a sheen and it's quite
Hmm.
soft. So
Yeah.
my impression of it, and this is why it's nice to have these
Hmm.
conversations, is that the agar agar was underneath and was separate
Oh,
from the mushroom, and that is not the case. It's actually built
no.
into.
Yeah, it's in the physical, just the set it. So I put it in the freezer for a second, then I ring mold it. Yeah, so it's a cool process, and the cooks love it. Like they're really excited about like learning this technique because they haven't seen it before either. I feel like I it's a pretty organic idea for me, especially with the representation of the porcini caps. I kind of just got that idea one day, um, and went for it, so
Yeah.
worked out.
But interestingly, again, to compare it to the vintage risotto,
Hmm.
there's really not a lot of dairy in this dish.
No, we finished with a couple tabs of butter just for creaminess. But there's like a little bit of olive oil, and we don't need to add the butter if necessary, but
Mhm.
it it is not dairy focused. It's
Yeah.
more really letting the beautiful mushroom shine. We put the porcini puree in, and that's kind of what gets that creamy texture because the puree, it's beautiful. Um, Using Italian wine to reduce with the porcinis, and I add dried porcinis too, which really, has that punchy porcini taste. So
And
you really
tons
get
of
that
umami.
impact. Oh yeah, 100%. So I
Yeah.
love umami, and the juniper gel as well has apple cider vinegar. So that kind of cuts it so it's not too rich in umami. So every bite you're getting all those senses.
So it's really a completely different dish than the vintage. It's mushroom forward. It
100%.
is not dairy forward.
100%.
It's umami as opposed to dairy. It's
Yes.
a more aesthetically pleasing dish, I'd say, because of the
Yeah.
design. It's like a more designed dish.
Yeah.
It's like the one's of the flip side of the other, really, in terms of
Hmm.
your ideas as a chef,
Right.
or
We
ancient versus modern.
exactly. And I think it's a huge representation of myself. We put bronze fennel on as well, so they look like little spruce trees. So it is just it's just like a walk through the woods, and like it's really cool to be able to portray that on a plate.
I think we just found your new name for the dish. A walk through the woods.
Walk through, love it. I put in some poetry in my time, so that I really like that. We're taking notes, so.
All right, take some notes. Um, I wanted to find out a little bit too, how long have you had, a walk through the woods on the menu now? And are you finding like how are people responding to it? Is it a different kind of consumer who's choosing one versus the other? What are you seeing in the restaurant?
So where are we, October 3rd today? The menu went live October 1st, so
Oh,
first 3 days. But I've been sending it out a little bit before this to guests just to try and like hear their interaction. But people have been just they love it. Like you said, it's aesthetically pleasing, like the way it looks, the juniper, the purple, the light brown and the mushroom caps. It's really just fun to look at. And once you start digging in and like tasting, it's beautiful. So
yeah,
great feedback so far. And I would say because you get the choice of the vintage, we're at like a 75% mushroom to 25% vintage. So our servers are doing a great job at selling it. They see it and they're like, they love it as well. They want to sell the porcini, the walk through the woods. They want to share my experiences, and that's why I have this role as well, because it's so important as a chef to have experiences. We talked about my time making goat cheese, and it just I have a lot to tell. So
yeah.
it's great that this dish is one of them.
Yeah. Well, I guess a follow-up question to the vintage is you mentioned at the beginning of the conversation that your grandma used to make, huge portions of risotto for when the family got together.
Hmm.
Was that version that you serve, on the menu now, the vintage, is that sort of similar to what she used to put on the table? I mean, obviously, I doubt she made a Savoyant
No, no, Sebayan.
or had an ISI.
Hers is she would definitely do saffron. So I feel our family back at when had a was in the Milan sector of Italy. What a classic saffron risotto. So that's the one she made, and I'll definitely in the future we're gonna trickle to it. I kind of had the idea of to make this saffron risotto. We're definitely going to do it in the future, so I do plan on changing the vintage to a saffron one. Uh, just I'm popping out future ideas. Is I was going to get the little green craft Parmesan shaker and put some beautifully aged parm in it instead of just like the craft stuff. So you can put Parmesan on it yourself, and it kind of because that's what I remember is that craft Parmesan just dumping it onto the saffron risotto as a kid, and just like that texture. So yeah.
There's something really powerful in the memory of some of these packaged goods.
Right, that distinct green, yeah, craft. And who knows what it is, but it's good. It's like
it,
the cheese whiz.
yeah, it added a layer of
Yeah,
deliciousness to your
it,
grandmother's beautiful
it's good.
risotto.
It's good. I
All right.
remember this is like when I couldn't have it. this is how I knew I was gonna be a chef as a kid too. I remember being like 9 years old and like we had saffron in the cupboard and I would make ramen noodles and I'd put saffron in the ramen noodles and I'd put Parmesan on it too. And it'd make mimic those flavors of the risotto. And it's just like a great vessel. So like that was always like my treat to myself. And like, being 9 years old and just knowing that these flavors are like creating that memory of my grandma, like really cool. So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
amazing. I love that connection to your past. What would your grandmother have thought of the walk in the woods dish?
She would love it. Oh my gosh. What an adventurous, like mother of 10, been all around all the world. Yeah, just don't make me cry.
Well, I don't know. Maybe
No,
she didn't like mushrooms, you know?
no, I don't know if she liked mushrooms. I'd assume she did. She had a great palate. I remember like I went fishing with my dad and we showed up unannounced and she broke down the bass that we caught and fried it up. So, I know she had a great palate. So just, I think she'd be proud and like really happy and like
Oh.
definitely crush it.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a really great time just chatting about these two dishes and
Mhm.
the interpretations of them and what they mean to you. Is there anything that you want to add or anything that we missed
Um,
about the dish, about the restaurant, about Alila?
I think this new menu is really a showcase of myself, and it's really fun. It really just grabs flavors that really impact who I am, and like where I've been as well. We're also doing a uni tortellini, which is really cool. So serving it in a brodo with seaweed, and first time I ever had uni, it just tasted like mango. So really had that like tropical flavor, which was incredible. So I'm making the base of the tortellini, like the farce that goes inside of the filling of the tortellini. It's uni and persimmon,
Ooh.
which is like persimmon is just absolutely amazing. It's at that fall tone and like I'm getting some beautiful pawpaw for jus,
Hmm.
which pawpaw is that tropical banana-like creation from the Midwest, and it pulls from my Midwest roots. I remember just, foraging for that in the Midwest. I have a beautiful ramp pawpaw area that I love to go to, so I'm not going to tell where, but it really captures those light fall tropical tones with the nice like shellfish punch. So really excited about that dish. The new black cod dish we're doing, heirloom grits, cod broth, apple relish, really cool. So there's a lot of great stuff going on. So really happy with the new menu, and it's just the beginning. I've only been here 6 months, so it
You're
just
right.
we're going all in. So yeah,
Well, and I just from listening to you talk and having met you, and we had a longer conversation at that time,
Mhm.
your passion for pulling flavor from across the American culinary canon and beyond.
Yeah, yeah,
But I'm really excited to come back and try whatever you do with
yeah.
pawpaw. I
Please
don't think
do.
I've ever
Yeah,
tried pawpaw, so
it's so good. Yeah, it's amazing. It's crazy that it's not mass produced and it's a domestic fruit. It's really cool. Really,
yeah.
really cool. Yeah,
So maybe next time we chat, we should chat about pawpaw.
we'll do. We'll do.
Okay.
It's been hard to source it out here, so I can't use it as much as we did in Chicago. But I got a little bit to make a verjus with. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's exciting. Chef, I wanted to thank you for taking the time to chat today. I'm going to hit stop on the recording, and then if
Okay.
you would just stay on the line for a minute.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right.